Clash Mini tier list is here, and we are going to break down the best and the worst minis inside of Clash Mini. Starting it off, we have the D tier, the worst minis inside of Clash Mini, and these are the Guard, the Barbarian, and the Battle Healer. The Guard, unfortunately, even after the buffs that it is receiving, is not strong enough. The extra shield is just too high of an elixir commitment to be able to use the Guard and get value. The Barbarian getting buffed, still not there. It's just too weak of a mini. This clan synergy isn't great enough with him as he doesn't pick up enough value. The Battle Healer. Battle Healer is good in very scarce scenarios. The Battle Boxer just does everything the Battle Healer does, but more. Yes, it doesn't heal, but how many times does a Battle Healer even heal in a match? Moving on over to the C tier here, we have some minis in this tier that are just a little bit better than the worst minis inside of the game. Royal Recruit is our first mini in this tier. Royal Recruit did just get a buff, so it is pretty good. However, it just struggles still because it doesn't get enough. You still have to kind of upgrade it to a 2-star Royal Recruit, which is 6 elixir, which is a lot of elixir to invest in one mini for it to be super useful. Also, the Royal Synergy, the class that it has, there are so many better minis. The Dagger Goblin, what else do I need to say about the Dagger Goblin? You only put it in the deck for the Ranger Synergy. Other than that, it just doesn't hit the mark. Royal Ghost, yes, it just got that rework. It's pretty okay in very rare scenarios. Royal Ghost just isn't there yet. It'll probably get another buff a little bit in the future to make it come back a little bit more, but right now, it's just not there. We have the Dagger Goblin next. Dagger Goblin did just get the Rogue buff, so it is a lot better than it previously was, but the thing about this meta is there's just so many mages, so much high damage spells from other minis as well that just clear out the Dagger Goblin before it's able to do anything substantial. Spear Goblin is next here, once again with the Goblin buff. The Goblin class is just not that amazing right now. The Spear Goblin has to be in it with the Dagger Goblin. You just have to use too many minis that aren't that great. The Spear Goblin is alright, but there are way other minis that are so much better. Next up, we're gonna have the Mega Knight. Mega Knight is very good in very slim scenarios. There's just so many stuns right now in the current meta and so many slows that it takes forever for the Mega Knight to really get anything going. And when you do get it going, there's always a Pekko or a Monk or something that's going to be able to clear it out super fast for it to not do anything. Next up, we have the Giant. After the nerf to the Giant's been in an awkward spot. It's no longer that super overpowered tank as it takes a very long time to buff up to absolute dominance, and that's really only in round number 5. Round number 4, it's still good, but the problem is if you don't drop it in round number 1, you're not going to really win with the Giant, and you're probably going to lose round number 1, which puts you at a huge disadvantage. Next up, we have the B tier. The B tier here, we have the Knight. The Knight's bugged a little bit right now, so it is probably a little bit higher than it should be, but a 3-star Knight is a monster and takes forever to get eliminated. For that fact alone, it's in the B tier. Golden Giant did also just receive another buff. I don't really want to put it lower than the B tier right now because I haven't tested it out too much, but I think the Golden Giant could be good, especially with all the Wave Masters in the meta. Archer is here in the B tier. It's really good with Pink Fury. It's pretty okay with Barbarian King. It's good in some situations and absolutely not great in other situations. It relies too heavily on other minis to buff it up, and that is why it is in the B tier. The Dark Goblin is next here. The Dark Goblin just doesn't do enough damage. I mean, unless it's with like a Pink Fury Elixir deck or like a Barbarian King deck, and even still, the Magic Archer outshines it there. It just doesn't really have a place right now inside of the game. Bowler is the B tier. Honestly, it would be higher if it wasn't a Goblin class synergy. It really doesn't have much more than the Goblin class synergy, so you can't really put it higher than the B tier. Yes, it does a lot. Yes, the Pierce is great. Yes, a 3-star Bowler is good, but it just isn't a strong enough carry to be with the Goblin class to be higher. Giant Skeleton is our next mini up in this tier list, and the Giant Skeleton is very good in certain situations. However, in other situations, it is hot garbage, which is why it is in the B tier. Healing Ranger is really good or really bad. There's a lot of backline minis right now with the miners everywhere, as well as the countesses and everything else. It gets cleared out super fast, so it's okay in some scenarios, not that great in other scenarios, which is kind of what the B tier is all about. Swordsman here for the C buff is really what you're going to use it. You can also use it for the rogue buff. It's pretty good. However, there just are other rogues that outclass it, and if you don't get the value with supering off, you really don't get value with the swordsman. The Valkyrie buff also slowed down the swordsman because throwing it over, I'd rather throw over a Valkyrie than a swordsman now. Villager is a interesting mini. It works with some heroes, doesn't really work that great with other heroes. After the recent nerf, I shouldn't say recent, it was a little bit a while ago with the 10% nerf to attack speed for heroes, the Villager just really hasn't found a huge use inside of Clash Mini, but it still is very good with certain heroes and in certain scenarios. Which is going to be our next mini up? Well, it's only really good buffing up the Chompy, and that's really it. I'm not going to put it in the A tier for that purpose alone. The skeletons are good. They swarm, but guess what? The Wave Master clears them out right away. You really don't have that much value. There's no more 100% countesses every single game, so the Witch is in the B tier. Mini Peck is our next mini up. If you get the dissipations off, great. If you get the attacks on heroes, great. If you don't get that, not great. That's why he is in the B tier. Storm Wizard is our next mini up in the B tier. If you get a perfect Storm Wizard clash ability, great. Amazing. You can stop a clash. It's fantastic. It's amazing. But if you don't have that option, or if it's not going to give you that much value, it's a useless mini, and you kind of got to waste 3 elixir, and you kind of got to waste a class in order to put it down. We have the Apprentice Monk coming next. The exact same situation as the Storm Wizard. Yes, it can stop clash abilities. Yes, it can make a silence. But if there are decks that don't have those things that are prevalent, if they don't have anything like a Prince, a Dark Prince, a Miner, or anything else like that, the Apprentice Monk really doesn't shine, and that's kind of a big issue for the Apprentice Monk. Bandit is our next mini up in the B tier. The Bandit is really good in a 3-star scenario, so I really wanted to put him in the A tier, but he just snuck down here to the B tier, and you know what? It's pretty good with Rogue, so yeah, it's hard, but he's going to be in the B tier. Prince is going to be our next mini up in the B tier here, and a lot of people probably are going to have controversy on this one. Listen, it's a great mini, don't get me wrong, but now there are just other minis that outshine him in this, and I'm going to say the Dark Prince. Yes, I know the Dark Prince is a pay-to-win mini, but the Prince here, I got to keep it in the B tier. Next up, we have the A tier here. The A tier is going to consist of, well, a lot of the mages. The mages are kind of like a mid kind of combination. It's great sometimes, it's not that great other times. So we're going to have the Ice Wizard, the Inferno Warden, the Wizard, all in the A tier. They all kind of do the exact same thing as far as either slowing down or just using supers in order to get value. The thing about it right now is this is all about slows, stuns, a lot of damage. And right now, there's just a lot of big beefy boys or wave masters that are just going to shut you down, clear you out. There's going to be a lot of princes, dark princes, hog riders that are just jumping to your backline, not allowing the mages to really take off. Next up, we're going to have the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie, after getting buffed over and over again and then finally getting to a good spot here, the Valkyrie is in a great spot. Sometimes she's amazing, sometimes she's like okay, and that's why the Valkyrie is going to be in the A tier, but a 3-star Valkyrie does work. Miner Miner getting the recent buff to its 2nd star ability, getting Rage when isolated is actually very, very nice, especially with Barb King and especially in other decks. The Miner being able to get Dissipation down onto the backline is something that is huge. Next up here, we have the Lumberjack and the Diffuser. They kind of do the same thing now, where they're kind of just in a deck to buff up the amount of elixir you gain per round to be able to use your big boys in the later rounds. And for that reason, they are in the A tier. The Lumberjack speed up is really nice. It definitely helps out. It does great work, and it is now in the clan synergy as well, so it is very strong. However, it's not stronger than the A tier. Elixir Golem is going to be in the A tier as well, literally just because it is for the Pink Fury deck, and that's really why. You need it for that deck, and it's very good. If you don't have it, you can't really run Pink Fury, and that's why it's in the A tier. In the A tier, I mean, Pink Fury is kind of like an A-ish tier hero, maybe a B-ish, but the Elixir Golem is necessary. Decoy Adept is our next mini up here, being a specialist and a rogue, being 2 elixir. That's why he's here, really for the classes more than anything else, as well as being able to stop clash abilities with being able to move the decoy once. That is why it is in the A tier. Fisherman is going to be in the A tier because of the Fisher hook is absolutely important, especially when you can bait them moving their melee hero early, then Fisher them, then give them vulnerable, and absolutely take it out before it can do anything. Headhunter is going to be next here in the A tier. Headhunter does a lot of damage to enemy heroes, and if it does clip it, if it does get the nice pierce off, if it does get the dissipation onto its super as well, or even round number 1 just putting it down to a melee hero in the front lines, forces them to move that hero or use a hog to stop your Headhunter. It just forces your opponent to do something, and that is why the Headhunter is in the A tier. Next up, we have the Musketeer. The Musketeer, the stuns, the ability to stop miners, the ability to push back opposing minis is super important inside of Clash Mini, and that is why it is in the A tier. It also is a Royal and a Ranger, which is a double class, which is also contributing to why it is in the A tier. Next up, we have the Executioner, Specialist, Ranger. You better believe it. You don't even really need it started up to do a lot of work. 1 super and it's going to do a lot, especially if it hits 3 targets or more. It just does insane value for 5 elixir, and that is why it is going to be in the A tier. P.E.K.K.A in the A tier here. I think everybody understands how strong a 3-star P.E.K.K.A is, or a 2-star P.E.K.K.A, or even a 1-star P.E.K.K.A. P.E.K.K.A does a lot of work inside of Clash Mini, and it's a mini that is super strong in certain scenarios, especially versus the Wave Masters, especially versus the Countesses, and right now they are very plentiful inside of the meta. Next up, we are going to have the Magic Archer. Magic Archer with the Rogue, with the Ranger, it does a ton of damage. If the 1-star ability wasn't bugged, it might even be in the S tier here, but it's still super strong. The Magic Archer is still very, very good inside of Clash Mini, and I think the Magic Archer is in a very, very good spot inside of the game. Magic Archer, definitely the epitome of what A tier really is. Battle Boxer is going to be our next mini in the A tier. Battle Boxer does so much, so well. Saint, Specialist, it's got everything you want to potentially be in the S tier. However, right now, if the Shield Maiden was a little bit stronger in this meta, I would definitely put the Battle Boxer higher up. However, right now, the Battle Boxer is going to be in the A tier, and it is going to round out all of the minis in the A tier. Next up, we have the S tier. These minis are so strong inside of Clash Mini, and they are going to be the Sailor. The Sailor is so good, especially with riders, especially with 4 riders, as it continues to super, to stack up, and after 10, 15, 20 seconds of it being alive and supering after supering after supering, it just does so much damage and is a super hard carry. Hog Rider is going to be our next mini here in the S tier, as Hog Rider can get to the back line. It can stun your back line, your opponent's minis in the back line, and it can get you value over and over again. The Hog Rider is absolutely insane inside of Clash Mini, and definitely helps you stall and win your matches. Princess is going to be the next mini in the S tier here. As a princess, I think everybody has seen a princess take care of their entire army in 1 super, and then it will super again if it is 2 stars. stars super fast, and then all of a sudden you're looking at your army and you're like, where did it go? That is why the princess is in the S tier. Chompy's in the S tier as well, because in certain situations the Chompy is an absolute monster. It's a dinosaur. It is insanity. The Chompy is one of the best minis in the game when used perfectly. I think everybody's seen that. It can revive, it can lifesteal, it can stack infinitely with more attack speed. It is everything you want in a mini. Next mini up here in the S tier is the Dark Prince. The Dark Prince, being able to charge, being able to stun in an area, being able to have a shield, being able to even have another shield after it gets eliminated. It's just so good versus so many minis in so many different scenarios. Next up, we have the OP tier, and the OP tier is going to consist of Shark Bait. Shark Bait is the strongest mini right now inside of Clash Mini, being able to grab your opponent's backline minis, bring them right into the battle so that your big carries that are slow and can't get to the backline can easily clear them out and take care of business. C, with the Shark Bait is absolutely insane, especially with the Wave Master being everywhere. Shark Bait is the mini that you're going to want to use to win in Clash Mini.